There is a quiet that falls over many of us on a Sunday evening. It is a specific kind of stillness. The weekend is drawing to a close, rest freedom. The new week is near, demands expectations. For so many, this transition is not a peaceful one. It brings a slow, sinking feeling. It might start as a small knot in the stomach, tightness in the chest, tired heaviness in the shoulders. We have names for this feeling: the Sunday scaries, Sunday night dread. We often dismiss it as a normal, unavoidable part of having a job. But what if we chose to see it differently? What if this feeling wasn't just a minor inconvenience to be endured? This recurring Sunday night anxiety can be a signal. It is a message from a part of you that knows something isn't right. A quiet alarm trying to get your attention before the coming week drowns it out. A signal is not a problem to be ignored or pushed away. A signal is an invitation to get curious. It asks for your attention. Listen to the truth your mind might be overlooking during Monday through Friday. Think about signals in other parts of your life. Warning light on a car dashboard, you pay attention. Ignoring it could lead to a bigger problem. That flashing light isn't the problem. It points to the problem. Low oil. Tire needs air. Listening can save you from a breakdown. Our emotions can work the same way. Body tenses up, mood plummets. Every Sunday night, a physiological warning light. Your body is telling you something is wrong. A core need isn't met. First step, acknowledge the signal without judgment. Instead of, not this again, or numbing it with distraction, offer a gentle, hello dread, I feel you. Naming the feeling takes away some power. It moves the vague doom into something specific and manageable. Naming is the start of a conversation. It helps translate the body's language. It helps us understand what this Sunday night signal is trying to tell us about our work, our lives, ourselves. Pay attention. Why do Sunday evenings, in particular, become such a potent trigger for this deep-seated resistance? There are a few simple human reasons for this phenomenon. The weekend provides a space for decompression. It offers a brief but essential pause from the relentless pace of the work week. In that quiet space, your mind and body finally have a chance to catch up. They have the opportunity to feel. During the week, you are in motion. You are responding to emails, attending meetings, tackling your to-do list. There is simply no time or bandwidth to check in with yourself. On Sunday night, however, the quiet returns. The external noise fades and the internal noise gets louder. Your mind, no longer occupied with immediate tasks, begins to anticipate the week ahead. It remembers the pressures, the difficult conversations, the unfulfilling tasks that await you. A small, manageable pain from Friday can feel enormous by Sunday night when there is nothing else to distract from it. The contrast between the freedom of the weekend and the perceived constraints of the work week becomes starkly clear. This transition from a state of relative autonomy to a state of obligation can feel like a loss, and our bodies often respond to that loss with grief or dread. At the same time, there is a powerful cultural narrative that tells us this anxiety is normal. We hear it from friends, see it in memes, and read it in articles. We are told everyone feels this way, or that's just what being an adult is. This collective normalization can be a comforting blanket, but it can also be a trap. When we accept a feeling as normal, we stop questioning it. We stop being curious about its origins. The signal, which was meant to be a call to attention, gets downgraded to mere background noise. We learn to live with it. We learn to brace ourselves for it each week as if it were an inevitable force of nature, like the weather. This acceptance leads us to develop coping mechanisms designed not to understand the dread, but simply to survive it. You might find yourself endlessly scrolling through your phone, hoping for a distraction. You might pour a glass of wine or two to take the edge off. You might go to bed exceptionally early, hoping to fast forward through the discomfort and wake up on Monday morning. These strategies can provide temporary relief, and there is no shame in using them. Over time, this cycle of feeling dread and then numbing it becomes a deeply ingrained habit. The Sunday scaries stop feeling like an anomaly, start feeling like part of the weekly schedule right alongside grocery shopping, laundry. When a feeling becomes this normalized, you stop asking why it's there. It just is. The signal that was once a clear, sharp warning has now become a dull, persistent hum in the background of your life. You have learned to function with it. You have adapted to the low-grade discomfort, convincing yourself this is the cost of admission to a responsible working life. You have, in essence, learned to live with the check engine light on. This normalization has a visible, practical impact on how we live. We begin to structure our weekends around the impending dread. Maybe you stop making plans for Sunday evenings because you won't have the energy or emotional capacity to be present with others. The last precious hours of your weekend are sacrificed to this feeling. Or perhaps you overschedule your Sundays, packing them with activities, chores, in a frantic attempt to outrun the quiet. You hope if you just stay busy enough, the feeling won't be able to catch up with you. But it always does, waiting for you in that final moment of stillness before bed. Another way dread becomes normalized is through our language. We talk about it with a sense of resignation. We might joke about it with colleagues on Monday morning, bonding over the shared misery. Case of the Mondays, we ask, and everyone nods knowingly. This shared experience can feel like connection, but it also reinforces the idea that this feeling is unchangeable. It boxes the experience into a neat, socially acceptable category that requires no further investigation by labeling it just the Sunday scaries. And its power to inform us about our own unique situation. The danger of this normalization is that it allows a significant problem to hide in plain sight. You learn to brace for the feeling instead of questioning it. You develop rituals to get through it, not to understand it. This pattern of endurance can go on for months or even years. You might change jobs, hoping for a different outcome, only to find the same feeling creeping back after the honeymoon period wears off. This is because the feeling is not just about a specific job, it is a signal about a specific mismatch. Stop, get quiet, listen to what the signal is pointing to, and you will likely carry that dread with you from one Sunday to the next. You know, it's persistent. Our bodies are incredibly honest. Long before our conscious minds are ready to admit that something is wrong, our bodies are already sending out clear, physical signals. They do not use words, but they speak a language of sensation. When your body wants you to listen, it will make itself heard. The key is to learn how to pay attention to these physical cues, to treat them not as random aches and pains, but as important pieces of data. On Sunday night, take a moment to do a gentle scan of your body. What do you notice? Where is the feeling living in you? One of the most common physical manifestations of dread is tension. Shoulders creeping up toward your ears, a clenched jaw, sometimes without you realizing it, neck and upper back, tight and sore, bracing for impact. This is your body's primal fight or flight response, preparing for a threat. Even though the threat is a desk, a project, or a difficult colleague, the physiological reaction is the same. Muscles getting ready for a battle your mind anticipates. That chronic tension is exhausting. Another common sign is a feeling of heaviness, a weighted sensation, like an invisible blanket pressing down on chest and limbs, stomach feeling unsettled or churning uncomfortably. For some, a hollow kind of sadness, an ache with no clear source. For others, a numbness, a blank wall inside, a disconnection from emotions, a nervous system shutting down to cope. Finally, notice your emotional state. Irritability can be a major sign. Snapping at a loved one over something small. Patience wearing thin, a very short fuse. Small inconveniences feel like major personal affronts. You might also have trouble with sleep, struggling to fall asleep, mind racing with worries about the week ahead, waking in the middle of the night, often around 3 a.m., and finding it impossible to go back to sleep. These are not just signs of stress. They are your body's desperate attempts to get your attention. They are signals. So, listen. If Sunday night has been carrying more emotion than you admit, let me know in the comments. What does Sunday night usually feel like for you? Tired, anxious, numb, or heavy? So, how do you know if this recurring Sunday night feeling is more than just typical end of weekend blues? When does it stop being stress and start pointing toward a deeper, more fundamental problem with your work? The first thing to look for is a clear and persistent pattern. Does this feeling of dread, tension, or sadness reliably show up every single Sunday? Have you been experiencing it for months or even years? If the answer is yes, it is highly unlikely to be a one-off worry about a specific project. A consistent pattern indicates a chronic issue, not an acute one. It is a sign that something is structurally wrong. Second, notice the intensity of the feeling and its impact on your life. Does the dread begin to creep in earlier and earlier, perhaps starting on Sunday afternoon or even Saturday night? Does it effectively rob you of your ability to enjoy the final hours of your weekend? Do you find yourself avoiding social plans or canceling on friends because you feel too low or irritable to be good company? When the feeling is so powerful that it consistently hijacks your personal time and prevents you from engaging in restorative activities, that is a significant red flag. It suggests the problem is not small and it is taking a serious toll on your well-being. Third, look for specific triggers related to your work. As you think about Monday morning, what specific images or thoughts cause your body to tighten? Is it the thought of a particular person, like a difficult boss or toxic teammate? Is it the thought of a specific task that feels overwhelming, meaningless, or morally compromising? Do you feel utterly exhausted before the week has even begun? A powerful indicator is a feeling of inauthenticity. Essentially, a sense that you have to put on a mask or become a different person to survive at work. Your body is trying to protect you. It is trying to keep you away from a situation that it perceives as harmful. When the dread is tied to specific people, you have to interact with tasks you have to perform, or a general feeling that you are not valued or not seen, it is pointing directly at the source of the pain. The feeling is not a vague, free-floating anxiety. It is a highly specific response to a difficult environment. The more you can connect the feeling to a concrete why, the clearer the message becomes. Your Sunday dread is no longer just a feeling, it is evidence. Related video, the quiet signs you've mentally left your job. When the Sunday night signal is strong and persistent, it often points to a fundamental mismatch between you and your work. This is not about being good or bad at your job. It is about alignment. A mismatch can show up in several different ways, and your body's resistance is its way of telling you that the alignment is off. Perhaps the most common mismatch is one of values. Your work may require you to do things or be part of a system that conflicts with your core beliefs about what is right and wrong. Your body is rejecting the inner conflict of acting against your own integrity day after day. Another form of mismatch is related to energy and capacity. Maybe your job consistently demands more than you have to give. It could be a culture of long hours, constant availability, and an expectation that you are always on. There is little to no room for rest, recovery, or a life outside of work. Your body, in its wisdom, knows that this pace is unsustainable. The Sunday night dread is a preemptive exhaustion. It is your system's way of saying, I cannot do this again. I do not have the resources to survive another week like the last one. It is a cry for rest and for boundaries that are not being honored. The mismatch can also be one of meaning and contribution. As human beings, we have a deep-seated need to feel that our efforts matter. If your role feels meaningless, if you cannot see how your work contributes to anything you find important, a part of you will rebel. Your spirit will feel starved. The dread can be a form of grief for a sense of purpose that is missing from such a large part of your life. It is the feeling of spending your precious time and energy on something that feels empty. Your body is mourning the lack of fulfillment and asking you to seek work that nourishes your soul, not just your bank account. Finally, the mismatch might be about culture and connection. You might be in a work environment that is harsh, critical, isolating, or psychologically unsafe. Perhaps bullying, gossip, or cutthroat competition is the norm. In such a place, you never feel truly seen, valued. Your nervous system perceives this environment as a constant threat. The Sunday night dread, then, is a perfectly logical response. It is your body's attempt to keep you away from a place where you feel emotionally and psychologically insecure. It is a signal that your need for belonging and safety is not being met. You do not need to have all the answers. You do not have to map out a grand escape plan tonight. The first and most powerful step is simply to decide to listen. This is a quiet, internal shift. It is a commitment to stop pushing the feeling away and, instead, to turn toward it with gentle curiosity. You can start small. On a Sunday afternoon or evening, when you begin to feel that familiar heaviness, give yourself 5 minutes of uninterrupted quiet. Find a comfortable place to sit. You are not trying to fix the feeling or make it go away. You are just creating a space to be with it. The next step is to name what you are feeling in the simplest words possible. Our minds tend to complicate things, but our bodies are very direct. Try to locate the feeling in your body. Is it a tightness in your throat, a pit in your stomach, a buzzing in your limbs? Give it a simple factual name. I feel a heavy weight on my chest. I feel annoyed and my jaw is tight. I feel a hollow sadness in my gut. Say the sentence out loud to yourself if that feels right. Writing it down on a piece of paper can be even more powerful. Just one line. Do not judge the sentence or analyze it. Just state the fact of it. Once you have named the physical sensation, you can ask a calm, gentle question. The goal here is not to force an immediate answer, but to open a door for one to emerge. Use short, open-ended questions. What part of my upcoming week makes my body tighten up like this? When did this feeling first start? What would make this Sunday night feel just a little bit easier? These questions are not meant to be solved on the spot. They are invitations. They signal to your deeper self that you are finally ready to listen. You can also use your imagination as a gentle tool for gathering information. Close your eyes and picture walking into your workplace on Monday morning. What happens in your body? Does your breathing get shallow? Do your shoulders tense up? Now imagine a specific meeting or a conversation with a specific person. What do you feel? These small physical reactions are clues. They are data points that help you understand the specifics of the signal. Naming these physical responses makes the vague, scary feeling of dread much less frightening. It becomes a set of knowable facts, and facts are something you can work with. Once you have started listening, you can move on to gathering more information through small, low-stakes experiments. You do not need to make a huge, life-altering change all at once. The goal is to test a hypothesis. If your dread is a signal that a boundary is being crossed, you can test that by introducing one tiny, new boundary during the week. See it not as a permanent solution, but as a scientific experiment. You are simply collecting data on what makes the signal stronger or weaker. This approach lowers the pressure and makes taking action feel much less intimidating. For example, you could pick one small change to try for a single week. Leave work 10 minutes earlier than usual on one day. Say a polite no to one non-essential request or meeting. Turn off your work email notifications on your phone after 7 p.m. for the entire week. Choose one small, manageable action that feels just a little bit brave. The point is not to solve the whole problem, but to introduce a new variable and observe the outcome. At the end of the week, on the following Sunday, check in with yourself again. How does your body feel? Does the knot in your stomach feel any smaller? Is the tension in your shoulders a little less pronounced? Maybe the change made no difference at all. Maybe it made things feel slightly worse. Or maybe, just maybe, it created a tiny pocket of relief. All of this is valuable information. It is not a pass-fail test. It is a clue. A small bit of relief tells you that you're moving in the right direction. It confirms that the signal was, in fact, about a lack of boundaries or overwork. If the signal keeps returning with the same intensity, or if it grows even stronger, that is also data. It may be a sign that the problem is deeper than a simple boundary issue. It might be time to consider a slightly bigger step. Have a candid conversation with a trusted friend. Have a candid conversation with a trusted partner. Seek out a career coach. Seek out a therapist to help you unpack the feelings in a safe space. These choices are not signs of weakness or failure. They are courageous and intelligent responses to a clear signal that is asking for your care and attention. You might read this and feel a sense of fear. The thought of making changes can feel overwhelming. You may worry about financial stability. You may worry about your reputation. You may worry about what others might think. These fears are real and valid. It is important to acknowledge them. Yet, it is also important to acknowledge the cost of staying in a situation that consistently drains your energy. It can compromise your health. It can chip away at your sense of self. The Sunday night signal is an early warning system. Hearing it now, while it is still a quiet dread and not a full-blown crisis, gives you the gift of time. It gives you more room to make thoughtful, calm choices. Remember to be gentle with yourself through this process. Feeling dread does not mean you are broken or weak. It means you are a human being with a sensitive and intelligent nervous system that is trying to keep you safe and whole. Learning to listen to its signals is a brave act. It requires patience. It asks you to become a kind and compassionate friend to yourself, especially during those difficult Sunday evening hours. You can support this process with small, comforting rituals. Dim the lights, listen to quiet music, make a simple meal that you enjoy. Take a slow walk at dusk. These acts will not solve the underlying problem, but they create a softer space for you to hear what needs to be heard. Over time, this practice of paying attention to the Sunday night signal will build a new pathway in your mind. You will become fluent in the language of your own body. You will start to recognize patterns more quickly. You will gather more and more evidence to guide your choices, both small and large. The goal is not to create a life that is completely free of difficult feelings. The goal is to move toward a life where your body's alarms are not sounding so loudly and so often. It is about creating a work life that feels more aligned, more sustainable, and more authentic. So if your peace consistently begins to fade as Sunday evening unfolds, I invite you to ask a different question. Instead of asking, how can I possibly survive another Monday? Try asking, what is my body trying to tell me right now? Ask it with kindness. Ask it with genuine curiosity. Do not demand an immediate, complete answer. Let the answer come in small pieces over time. Let it guide you toward one small, gentle step and then the next. You do not have to fix everything at once. Your only task for tonight is to finally begin listening to the part of you that has been trying to speak for so long. If this reflection felt close to home, stay with this channel. Thank you for spending your Sunday evening with Unmuted Memoirs.